Well, good afternoon again, everybody, and welcome back for our final session of the afternoon. And I've been waiting for this one, I must say, because it's really where the kind of rubber hits the tracks for me. This is what it's about. This is about actually understanding the challenges that small enterprises, that our women entrepreneurs, that young people are facing in trying to access trade, in trying to get their businesses up and running, and trying to be part of the global community for trade. So I'm really delighted to welcome our panel today and to introduce you first to our moderator, Daniela Zahentner-Kapel, who will take you through the rest of the afternoon session. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon from my side. We will start first with a video that we get right into the depth of trade on the ground. It's a project that EIF has implemented in the Gambia on cashews. And from then we will take it and I will moderate you through the rest of the afternoon. Thank you. Okay, it's coming down.
Nice. You know, cashew is so valuable. Cashew has so many use to be done. Cashew, you can eat it raw, you can process it, then you export it. You can use it for so many different things. You know, and twist it and take it out. This the nut, and this is the seeds. This is the apple. My name is Ali Rufai, and I'm a cashew farmer. I've been a cashew farmer for 20 years. This farm I'm doing is 10 hectares big. I've received training on nursery preparation, on record keeping, on farm management. Farming is much easier now after this AIF training. This is my home, and this here is where I nurse the cashew to take it to the farm. So AIF taught us that you should nurse them in your house, secured, until when they grow up very strongly, then you take it to the bush. I am making more money now than before AIF training. My cashew, I don't sell them just like that. I don't sell the nuts. I sell them when it is processed. It's more valuable when you add value to it than you sell it when you sell it raw. Cashew is very important to the economy. Everybody earns something due to cashew. If you want an easy life, grow cashew.
Here at Jauna and Family Cashew Processing Enterprise, we have 2 tons of cashew kernels per month. The cashew from the farmers, once we receive it, we dry it on the sun. The partnership of the EIF has improved our processing capacity a lot. They give us capacity building training. They give us the packaging bags, the packaging machine for sealing machine. Because of the intervention of the EIF project, we have customers. There is always a ready market for our products. And also many people trust us to give us the contract. In order to expand the business, we like to have partners to increase the processing facility. We like to have finance so that we can have all year round cashew processing.
The EIF cargo facility has helped to put the Gambia on the world map. First, it gave us the relevant and the required security facilities needed to operate as a cargo. Second, it gave us the operational facilities that is also needed to operate as a cargo. So as we're talking now, we are very proud.
Currently, the Gambia is moving towards a very positive trend towards trade. We are now moving from the raw product. It used to be picking the cashew nuts and giving it to the business people to take them out to be processed. But now we have changed that strategy. We are diversifying and adding value to the cashew nut so that it creates jobs. It also creates opportunity for the private sector to engage effectively. And we have now come to a point where we have industries that are responding to that. They are employing people, they are adding value, and they are building capacity of the people. This is very positive. So I think Gambia is ready for business.
Yes, what a way to start. Her Royal Highness Princess of Burkina Faso, Abse Yima, Honorable Minister Musa, distinguished panelists and guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the session, Talking Trade, Strategies for Small Businesses, Women and Youth. Throughout the morning, we've heard a lot about the importance of making trade inclusive through partnerships, through technical measures like implementing the Trade Facilitation Agreement. But in this session, we are back to you, we are back to the countries, we're back to the roots, and looking at strategies towards integration. After a short introduction from my side, I will pass on and give Her Highness the floor to deliver a keynote. And after, Minister Musa will present his concept note, and from there we will take it to the distinguished panelists and move on. The panelists have decided, for the sake of giving you the possibility to ask questions, because this is what it's about, to not have a second round of questions unless there are no questions around, and then we will take it and do a second round. So welcome, and thank you very much for being here. So let me make 4 or 5 statements. I think we all agree, and this has been stated more first, as recent research by the World Bank has once again provided significant evidence for the long-standing belief that trade is an important driver for economic growth. It creates jobs, promotes investment, spreads technological progress, and speeds up connectivity. Global leaders have acknowledged this through emphasizing the role of trade in the Agenda 2030. Second, at the same time, we also know that trade itself does not automatically lead to positive developments, outcomes for all parts of society. Trade has to be designed in an inclusive way in order for it to contribute to sustainable economic growth and the reduction of poverty. Inclusive in a way that especially vulnerable groups can rightly be addressed. And here, the significance of SMEs is beyond question. They play an important role in economic and social development, particularly in LDCs. SMEs account for 80% of jobs around the world. So increasing their competitiveness boosts job creation. According to WTO's calculation, around 88% of manufacturing and services firms in LDCs are SMEs. Trade policies need to be geared toward their success. Fourthly, SMEs' participation in trade could be amplified where SMEs are owned by women. Nevertheless, women are less likely than men to own SMEs. According to recent IFC estimates, female ownership of SMEs accounts for merely 30 to 37% in developing countries. A number of studies have shown women devote a much larger share of their income to spending on health and education, and thereby effectively invest in future generations. Fifth, when we speak about investing in future generations, naturally, we need to talk about young people through analyzing their vulnerabilities. It is distressing to know that at present, roughly 73 million young people around the globe are unemployed. Providing decent and productive economic opportunities for young people, as well as supporting young entrepreneurs to connect, to trade, and tap into digital economy are essential measures to achieve robust growth. So about now, it's time to take a look what your countries have done to make sure trade is inclusive, especially for the vulnerable groups, SMEs, women and youth. Your Highness, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Oh, thank you. So, first of all, many thanks to the IEF for inviting us, the Billion Bottom, to attend this very important meeting. Indeed, we have been fighting with the Finance for Development to get it done. And this Aid for Facility and Action, that's well done and congratulations. I'm very pleased to share with you my own experience because we are here to have solutions and not too much talks. I started as an engineer on electricity, and of course not with the high heels, but education is very important. That's what's bringing me here, standing in front of you today, and give me the opportunity also to hire people to work with me, and also push the political framework to move on. As you know, our economies lies in the informal sector. Sometimes more than 90% of our GDPs on least developing countries coming from the informal sector. And this is extremely key. That's why I launched the Global Expertise Hub for the informal sector at Adaptation Futures in Rotterdam, and I'm convening the high-level panel on the informal sector at the United Nations. I've spoken with the deputy, Her Excellency Mohamed Amina, a sister, and I would love to have your institution on board, and of course our partners, Germany and GIZ, that I'm working with. How are we making it? Vocational training is key. Again, from my own experience, to grow my business and in the solar field, I had to train people because without skills, you don't go anywhere. That's why TVET is extremely important. This is extremely key. Of course, we are in the world of decentralization, decarbonized, and digitalized. And nowadays, if you own a mobile phone or you have a SIM card, for me, you do have a bank account. How do we are going to take advantage on digitalization and also to grow our own economy and the way we want to share and to be part of the global economic growth? Because often we're not around the table when we design the policies. And I think that is more and more you will see girls, women, youth like me, sharing, partnering together. It's not about competing, and we welcome, of course, the trade for facilities. It's a great tool. But how are we going to make sure that we narrow down those facilities all the way down to our females and youth in the countryside who do not have access to energy? So that's why in Burkina Faso, in my country, we are having a training of trainer of 6,500 and the electricity to help economic growth locally. And those are the kind of examples that we need to highlight and implement more and more, because in my philosophy, we are an opportunity. I am a solution for myself, and this is, I'm not waiting for or begging, because I'm part of the market value chain. But it's about sharing, growing the pie, and see how we can move forward together. Because if our youth see the light and we don't bring the light, they will go to this is human. This is strictly human. And we're making use of technology, and that's what we have, the Mama-Light blockchain technology, to reach more people, to connect with the rest of the world. And digitalization, we shouldn't be afraid about that. It's about how are we going to make use of it for ourselves to advance Agenda 2030 and African Union Agenda 2063. Because we already do have policies in our region. Take the example of our ECOWAS, for instance. We have already frameworks regarding energy, regarding trade. We are, in some cases, even in advance regarding EU policies, because we have, for instance, the same fiscality in our 8 regions in YMU. Those are examples also that we can exchange in South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation. And standards is important. I didn't hear about standards regarding products that will be exported into our regions. Because if, again, I will talk about what I know more about electricity. If you want to, this cable is meant to stand in the high cold environment, and I'm living in the high heat environment. How do we do that? You need to adapt your tools, rather than financial tools or technical tools. That is very important. That's what, again, is very important to include us at the very beginning and going bottom up and top down. That's, the beauty is when the bottom meet the top. This is extremely important. And I really will be pleased to exchange with you. And I welcome this panel, and congratulations for making it gender balanced and to bringing also the traditional authority that I'm representing here. We are at the service of our communities, and we are at your service to go further together. Because in Africa, that's what we have. Our values that we can share with you is about being together. Competition is part of the solution, it's not part of the problem. And often that's how we are seeing. So I will stop there, and I look forward to hear the experts that you are in the room. And I would love to hear, if it's not here, outside during coffee break. Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. And I look forward to that. Thank you for listening to me.
Yes, thank you, Princess Jigma. Maybe it's interesting also to mention that, as she also just mentioned, she's initiator and leader of Mama Light's initiative. And it's a UN selected program, or it was selected as one of the 14 global breakthrough solutions of achieving the SDGs. I think this is a round of applause worth. And you've mentioned, I think, a lot of issues that we do need to dwell on throughout the conversation. The informal sector is one which is very important, but also the question of standards and quality infrastructure. It was mentioned in the panel this morning, but this is something that raising the quality of the products to be exportable in the first place, I think, is something where we can work together and talk about that. The Honorable Minister Henry Musa, he is Minister for Industry, Trade and Tourism of Malawi, and he has been member of the parliament for almost 20 years. In his current capacity, he envisions to continue developing strategies that aim at promoting a competitive private sector and expand the export base of Malawi. And I think we're very interested in hearing from you and all the experience that you bring here to the panel. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me begin with a friendly protest on the gender balance. If you look at the panelists here, I think the men are overpowered by the lady folks. Anyway, that said, moderator, fellow cabinet ministers, excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my delegation, I bring you fraternal greetings and best wishes from the President of the Republic of Malawi and the people of Malawi. Secondly, allow me to place on record our sincere gratitude and appreciation to the authorities and leadership of the WTO through EIF, not only for inviting me, but for the excellent facilities that have been placed at our disposal since our arrival. My view is directly to a simple question that has been put forward to Malawi. The question reads, what are the key steps taken by Malawi to ensure that trade contributes to poverty reduction? Malawi, being a least developed country, faces a lot of challenges, ranging from high poverty rates, huge trade imbalance, low productivity, lack of export diversification, concentration of very few export products, lack of industrialization, lack of capacity, low skilled labor, amongst others. Following these challenges, government of Malawi has been committed to reducing poverty through ensuring that our development and trade-related policies and strategies have specific pro-poor measures. For example, the Malawi Growth and Development Strategy 3, which we launched this year, has prioritized energy, industry, and tourism development, which is part and parcel of the trade agenda. Whereas the National Export Strategy and the National Trade Policy have specific pillars on poor development. At the implementation level, let me start with the support Malawi has benefited from enhanced integrated framework support. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, the nature of Malawi's productive sector is dominated by SMEs, particularly smallholder farmers. However, the participation of these in the trade value chain has been minimal. Government, as part of the National Export Strategy, which prioritized oilseeds, sugarcane products, and manufacturers clusters through the EIF, undertook to integrate small-scale farmers into the trade value chains through the implementation of the anchor farming. This is in and out grower model, which was again a great success. At the end of the project, over 6,500 farmers, majority being women, were integrated into the trade value chain from an initial figure just of 1,000. Ladies and gentlemen, other projects such as competitiveness and job creation support project, the Malawi Enterprise Development Project, the Malawi Oilseed Transformation Project, etc., were but a few steps taken to ensure that trade makes a meaningful contribution towards poverty reduction. Note that the idea behind these projects is to use a value chain approach to link producers and farmers to the markets. I should also note that one of the key challenges of the poor majority, which are women, is from accessing markets. We also have problems with cross-border procedural and logistical constraints. Government of Malawi has therefore been very committed to trade facilitation agenda. We heard earlier on from Zambia of what is happening, the One Border Post initiative to address the cross-border procedural and logistical constraints that we're experiencing. Government has therefore been very committed, and we proceed again with the support from EIF. For instance, the simplified trade regime and the new cross-border trade, which I talked about earlier on programs, seek to facilitate trade which mostly involve the poor and vulnerable, such as women and the youth. On the youth, my colleague talked about skills development. Malawi has embarked on a very, very, very ambitious program where we are training our youth in specific or targeted hands-on skills, carpentry and joinery, bricklaying. We're talking about metal fabrication, plumbing, ICT, tailoring, as some of the trades that we are teaching our youth. Malawi, as some of you may know, again, majority are youth. Actually, it stands at 70% youth as our population. And we feel it's a time bomb, but at the same time, it could be turned around as an opportunity. Moderator, I'll stop there for now. Maybe come back during the panel discussions. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Yes, we heard about problems, but also a lot of solutions there. That sounds nice. Interesting that youth can be a time bomb. I come from Germany. Their old age is a time bomb because we don't have a future, because we hardly have any young people. So it's interesting to take it from a different perspective. Laila Said Hassaneh. She's Executive Director of the Credit and Saving Corporation of the Comoros. After studying and working in France for many years, Laila returned to the Union of the Comoros in 2013, where she took over the managing of MEC Moroni, the main network of the Comoros Microfinance Union. Since 2018, she works with the Enhanced Integrated Framework to create dynamic and complementary SMEs in the Comorian economy. Welcome. So, access to finance, I think, is one of the key challenges that small entrepreneurs are facing as they strive to make their businesses flourish. How does your company contribute to increasing access to finance in the Comoros?
Bonjour tout le monde, bon après-midi. Donc en fait, effectivement, le problème du financement est vraiment souvent dans les PMA, partout dans le monde, mais particulièrement dans les pays les moins avancés, un problème majeur pour les petites entreprises, pour les entreprises individuelles et toutes les personnes qui souhaitent lancer des initiatives économiques. Et l'expérience comorienne en la matière présente un certain intérêt, puisque à la fin des années 90, le secteur financier comorien était principalement composé de 2 banques à caractère commercial, qui étaient surtout des banques dédiées aux grands commerçants, aux personnes financièrement très aisées. Et donc, il y avait un manque d'intervenants dans le secteur de l'intermédiation financière pour les populations, les jeunes, les femmes et toutes les personnes moyennement aisées. Donc, il y a eu une initiative commune du gouvernement comorien et du FIDA pour développer un réseau de microfinance inclusif, mutualiste, pour permettre un plus grand accès au financement aux personnes les plus défavorisées. Et c'est ainsi qu'est née l'Union des MEC, donc de cette initiative. Donc c'est un projet. Et puis finalement, il a été pérennisé. Et aujourd'hui, l'Union des MEC, c'est la première institution financière des Comores avec plusieurs agences réparties dans tout le pays, 14 agences, même dans les coins les plus reculés du pays. Vous trouvez une caisse de l'Union des MEC qui fournit des services financiers d'épargne et de crédit à tous les membres de la population. Il y a 14 caisses, donc j'ai l'honneur de diriger la principale caisse, qui est la caisse de la capitale, la MEC Moroni. Mais dans tout le pays, que ce soit dans les zones agricoles, dans les zones économiquement moins performantes, vous trouverez une caisse de l'Union des MEC qui fournit le même niveau de service avec un système d'information intégré, un niveau de procédure conforme à la réglementation nationale, grâce à la solidarité entre les différentes caisses. Donc, les fondements de notre système, donc, je le disais, c'est un système fondé sur les valeurs mutualistes. C'est-à-dire que l'adhésion est libre et volontaire. Dès lors que vous ouvrez un compte dans une caisse de l'Union des mecs, vous devenez membre, donc vous devenez propriétaire, actionnaire, entre guillemets, pourrait-on dire. Donc le fonctionnement est démocratique. Les dirigeants des caisses sont élus par les assemblées générales tous les 3 ans, sont renouvelés. Donc il y a une certaine redevabilité des dirigeants et la solidarité et la coopération est mise en avant. Donc ça, c'est les valeurs qui ont fondé ce réseau de microfinance. Ensuite, ce qui a fait sa force également, c'est sa politique de crédit. C'est une politique de crédit basée sur des produits simples, très liés à la culture comorienne, avec des procédures simplifiées, à l'inverse de ce que proposent généralement les banques commerciales, avec des procédures d'ouverture de compte et des procédures d'octroi de crédit très compliquées, très longs. L'Union des mecs, nous proposons des crédits très très simples. La politique de crédit est complètement corrélée à la capacité d'épargne des membres. Les revenus, nous reconnaissons tous les revenus, c'est-à-dire les revenus formels issus des salaires ou bien issus des entreprises formalisées, mais nous reconnaissons également les revenus informels. Nous allons sur le terrain, nos agents de crédit vont sur le terrain pour instruire les dossiers de façon à prendre en compte l'ensemble des revenus. Et les crédits sont garantis par des garanties patrimoniales, meubles et immeubles, qui permettent une exécution lorsqu'il y a défaillance et donc qui nous permet de mesurer, de limiter les impayés et donc de garantir les dépôts des membres qui sont notre principale ressource. Et donc la transparence dans la gestion, le recrutement sur le mérite et l'alternance du management, eh bien, sont les fondements qui ont fait que ce réseau s'est imposé en 20 ans. Un réseau qui est détenu par 100 000 Comoriens aux petits revenus, eh bien, s'est imposé comme la première institution financière du pays, dans laquelle les femmes sont représentées. Donc, comme vous le voyez, je suis une femme, donc je suis à la tête de ce réseau. Mais également, les membres, donc les détenteurs du capital représentent 46% des membres et détenus à 46% par des femmes. Et les emprunteurs sont encore plus nombreux puisque les 55% des emprunteurs sont des emprunteuses qui se distinguent aussi par la qualité des prêts qu'elles remboursent la plupart du temps mieux que les hommes. Je suis désolée, Monsieur le Ministre, encore, les femmes se distinguent de ce côté-là. Donc par contre, au niveau des jeunes, nous avons constaté dans les études que nous avons fait que les jeunes étaient faiblement représentés dans notre institution. Par conséquent, au cours des dernières années, nous avons essayé de lancer des actions spécifiques dirigées par les jeunes, dirigées vers les jeunes pour les attirer. Tout d'abord, nous avons lancé des programmes de solidarité, nous avons lancé un programme d'octroi de bourse aux jeunes. Donc l'Union des mecs, grâce au fait qu'elle ne distribue pas de dividendes, a constitué des fonds propres solides, donc nous permet d'avoir une politique d'action sociale qui est notable. Donc nous avons développé un programme d'octroi de bourse aux enfants issus des familles défavorisées, mais qui ont des très bons résultats scolaires. Donc nous leur octroyons des bourses et donc notamment pour être boursier, il faut avoir un compte. Donc ça nous a permis de faire venir des lycéens, des étudiants qui sont venus ouvrir leur compte pour avoir accès un jour à ce programme de bourse. Et puis, nous avons fait l'analyse des difficultés parce que malgré ce que je viens de vous décrire, qui peut être vu comme un succès, eh bien, cette expérience a ses limites. Donc nous reviendrons peut-être dans la deuxième partie du débat. Donc cette limite notamment par rapport aux jeunes, comment notre politique basée sur des garanties patrimoniales est un frein pour le financement des jeunes, puisque les jeunes n'ont pas de patrimoine. Donc là, c'est l'analyse que nous avons faite ces dernières années, comment réformer notre politique de crédit pour qu'elle soit encore plus inclusive, même envers les personnes qui n'ont pas de patrimoine, mais qui ont du talent et qui peuvent contribuer également à la performance économique.
Thank you very much. Since Grameen Bank and their projects on microfinance for women, we know that the reimbursement rates of women are much higher, so this, to most of us, is not surprising. But I think the issue you mentioned on youth, changing policies for making youth and their entrepreneurial spirit, I think this is very important, because if I look at Africa and mobile phones and the possibilities for mobile phones, I think in Africa the per capita mobile phone is larger than in parts of Europe. So there's an asset there. Maybe if I could just ask you, changing policies in a direction for startups, for instance, do you think like venture capital or having more risk capital inside could help them use their potential? Because I think that's the potential of Africa, is this young people and their interest in digitalization and all the things that are out there, and we have to tap into that. Have you come up, besides question of changing policies, that could maybe help tap into this potential?
Exactement, c'est tout à fait ce à quoi nous pensons et à l'initiative que nous commençons à développer avec le cadre intégré, c'est-à-dire l'Union des mecs ne peut pas uniquement fournir du crédit dans un environnement où les PME sont faibles, voire inexistantes. Nous devons nous investir plus dans la capacité à créer des... lorsque j'étais invitée à ce forum, la question pour nous, les Comores, n'est pas encore de vendre. Notre premier problème, c'est de produire. Aujourd'hui, la plupart de notre commerce, c'est un commerce lié à des produits importés. Donc, nous avons des capacités de production qui sont faibles. Donc, pour que nous puissions produire dans un monde globalisé, eh bien, nous devons avoir des structures, des PME performantes. Même si elles sont petites, elles doivent être performantes parce qu'elles doivent faire face aux produits importés des grands groupes. Donc, elles doivent produire bien et à moindre coût. Et pour cela, nous devons créer des structures performantes, des PME performantes. Je pense que les Comores ont cette jeunesse compétente, formée. Les familles comoriennes investissent beaucoup d'argent dans la formation de leurs enfants. Donc maintenant, c'est notre responsabilité de leur offrir des opportunités d'affaires. Pour qu'elle puisse, pour que cette jeunesse puisse s'accomplir. Et c'est la réflexion que nous menons avec le cadre intégré, avec un programme où nous allons proposer des opportunités d'affaires à des jeunes, leur fournir un financement à des conditions avantageuses qui exigera moins de garanties patrimoniales et ensuite les laisser s'épanouir, épanouir leurs talents en produisant aux normes standards que je sais qu'elles ont appris dans les universités dans lesquelles elles ont étudié, mais on doit leur donner ces opportunités d'affaires qui aujourd'hui elles n'ont pas naturellement ou qu'elles n'osent pas. Le programme que nous lançons avec le cadre intégré, nous l'avons intitulé par un mot comorien qui s'appelle Subuti, qui veut dire ose investir. Aujourd'hui, la jeunesse est inhilée parce qu'elle se dit « j'ai pas de garantie, j'ai pas d'opportunité d'affaires, j'ai pas accès au marché ». Donc nous pensons qu'avec le cadre intégré, nous, l'Union des mecs, nous allons offrir les opportunités d'affaires parce que nous connaissons bien le marché. Depuis 20 ans, nous sommes présents. Et le cadre intégré va leur offrir un accès au marché. Et ensemble, nous pensons donc modifier de la sorte la politique de crédit. Le crédit traditionnel restera notre cœur de métier puisque c'est ce qui a fait notre force et elle correspond à une demande. Mais nous allons également orienter vers le capital investment pour permettre aux jeunes de s'intégrer dans l'économie et de créer des capacités productives pour nous permettre de vendre.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, competing with imported products. it comes back to quality infrastructure. You know, if the products can compete with the ones that are imported, then the probability of exports probably rises. Now we move to Pierre Tamy. He is CEO of the Academy of Culinary Arts in Cambodia. Oh, that's very dear. Culinary is very dear to me. And I heard that in Cambodia there are wonderful products there. And you're scaling up. You're linking exactly to skills. We've talked about skills, leveraging, doing something for the youth. Pierre Tamy is a social entrepreneur with 30 years of experience in Asia. He's, amongst many other initiatives, founder of the Shift 360 Foundation, which facilitates sustainable economic opportunities for Cambodian youth in the greater Mekong sub-region, as well as the Academy of Culinary Arts Cambodia, a post-secondary culinary academy with international recognition. And he has received a whole range of international awards for his work. So, Pierre, tell us, what do we need to know to tap on youth, and how can you, and what are you doing different than all the rest?
Your Excellency and ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you. I'm very privileged and honored to be here. Thanks very much to Dr. Anakar and Ms. Chang to invite us to talk about Cambodia, an amazing country, a very beautiful country. Thanks also to the board and the sponsors, the donors of EIF that allow us to receive the necessary support to be able to launch the Academy of Culinary Arts. I myself am a social entrepreneur, and I give you a little bit of a context before I move right away to the culinary for you to understand and appreciate much better how we can better empower youth, marginalized groups, and particularly women and girls. When I started in war-torn Cambodia in the early 90s, with my family and our 3 daughters, we started an organization called Hagar International, for the purpose to rehabilitate trafficked and abused women and girls and children. So I started off with this particular task to be able to offer dignity, reintegration into society, with a job to these many women and children that were victims of, still today, of this brutal vice that is an epidemic worldwide. One of the keys of the success of this particular venture was the ability, from the organization perspective, is to couple together the NGO side that would do the social rehabilitation, at the same time to provide economic opportunity to the startups of social enterprises, or high impact investments as we call them today. Now, back then, at that time, development agencies and a number of foundations didn't quite see eye to eye of why an NGO would do business. But all along, I always say that do not get money to keep poor people poor. I want people to have a chance, like everybody else in the world, to have a job, to have a dignity, and to be well remunerated. Therefore, everything that it takes to bring a woman and a girl from an abusive situation, from trafficking and from the brothel, and bring her all the way to being reintegrated with dignity in society through the economic opportunity, through the startups of businesses, that I will do. And we've been able to launch a number of businesses in the food industries. To this day, one of the businesses, the Hagar Catering, is the largest catering business in Cambodia, and they cook 7.5 million meals a year, employing 400 people, 40% of them with women and girls that come from this particular background. Now, this is very, very important to understand for us to be able to better provide economic opportunities for women, for youth, or for marginalized groups at large. It's very important to guarantee a job, for without a job, these people will remain poor, will remain without a job, and will fall back again into a vicious cycle of abusive situation. Now, these projects are successful, as I'm told, only if they're replicable and scalable. So we expanded and we went to Afghanistan. So having the experience of a war-time Cambodia, we were able to transfer that concept to Afghanistan and also into Hanoi, Vietnam. I don't have to tell you what's going on among in those countries and how much women and girls suffer, and still to this day, very few dare to go there and actually do something about it for them. So after this experience, I realized something, that with the increasing population of particularly the youth, 50% of Cambodia is below 25 years of age, we find out that people were coming to us wanting the skills, wanting a job, but the problem was that unless, we had to say, unfortunately, it's very crude, but unless a woman would be raped and abused or trafficked, we couldn't take them. So obviously, we came to a realization of a new issue, a new challenge. What are we going to do with them? Because there are no vocational trainings, there are no technical institutions to prepare these youth. So that was the big issue where I came to realize that something needed to be done for the youth at large before they would get into troubles or fall into these vicious social cycles. So I came up with an idea with my association many years with the World Economic Forum. I heard many times Professor Schwab sharing the mantra of the public-private partnership. So I came back to Cambodia and wanting to do that. Why? Because only an NGO would not allow us with that status to offer services to all, but only to a marginalized group, and also we would not be allowed to charge. If it was a business, it wouldn't be a business case in initial years, and investors want their money fast. You meet an investor, they want to know the exit strategy, even before you talk about the entry strategy. So I needed to come up with a solution that we would be able to do something about it, and so I put on the table the PPP. Now, a number of people said, I'm sorry, it cannot be done in Cambodia. So I say, why? Who told you that? So either must be a lawyer or a banker that told you that. But PPP can be done, and we were the first one to put it into action. And that is the menu right now in Cambodia, the PPP to empower and enable youth and women to have high-quality skills and guaranteed jobs. And so I would like to share with you what are the ingredients for this menu. First of all, we need to bring the partners to the table. The private sector, as we know, and also with our food business, is new, that it's very difficult to get qualified people. Extremely difficult. There aren't trained chefs as such. So we would see that each restaurant and hotel would steal each other's chefs. It will steal each other commis and chef de partie by offering $5 or $10 more, and so we don't have enough chefs. You see, so we needed to convince the private sector that the private sector was wanting to convince everybody and tell the government, you guys need to put vocational training. Now we went to the government, and our government would say, well, really that should be the private sector job because they have the money to do it. So as a civil society, as a social entrepreneur, I decided, look, let's not criticize each other, what each other should do, but rather let's convene and come at the table where the private sector, the civil society, and the government would sit at the table and say, we have a problem, not you. We have a problem, and we are going to bring a solution in how we're going to provide an answer. No more statistics, no more research, but rather action. We need action. And this is what is needed still to nowadays in many other countries, as I watch many similar countries, Syria, Iraq, and many others, suffering tremendously. And people stop, foundations and government and agencies stop at research and public, wonderful research and statistics. Ladies and gentlemen, we need action. These people are waiting for us. So we launched the Academy of Culinary Art. The ingredients, we need money. So we had to go and convince a number of agencies to put money into this, and we were very happy to have found, first of all, the Swedish government. Swedish government is stellar in this particular approach, where they believe that money should be put right close to the private sector so we can provide a mechanism in enhancing the skills of the people so they could get a job. There's no point to do activities after activities where there is no guarantee of jobs. So I heard the director of the SIDA was very convinced, very impressed by her persistence, by her passion about youth and women and skills. So we brought them on board, and we went to convince the EIF. Now, EIF was a little bit more difficult because we had to do a lot of more work to do, and particularly we had the government to make the request. But again, I want to say that the Ministry of Commerce, as represented today by Her Excellency Dr. Kamrang, was extremely helpful, was vital, played a very key role to convince EIF to come on board. even at times when things were not going that well, for it took me 5 years to put the PPP together. We had some people that were not quite cooperating. Dr. Kamran flew to Geneva to convince the board that this is a good opportunity, please give us a chance. For women and youth are asking not for gratuity, they're asking for one chance. And they deserve one chance. We want to give them one chance. So I received that one chance, and thanks to Dr. and the director of EIF and Madame Chang, they turned the corner and decided to sign up, and we were able to launch the Culinary Academy. The ingredients that makes it happen is the fact that this PPP, this Culinary Academy, is structured through a governance, a board of governance of 4 ministries from the royal government of Cambodia, the private sector through a number of associations, Chef, Restaurants and Hotel Association, and myself as the facilitator. Now, the royal government of Cambodia also had to contribute. And as I said, it was very, very difficult to find a way to do it, because since there is no legal framework to either do an NGO or to do a business, the PPP legal framework did not exist. So we went to the Prime Minister, Samdech Hun Sen, Prime Minister of Cambodia, who's an amazing, strong person who had led the country to an amazing economic and social development. He was convinced about this idea, and he issued a decree. Now imagine, a foreigner asks a head of government to write a law to allow you to do this project. This is very unique. And through that empowerment, through that decree, the Royal Government of Cambodia has contributed to the formation of this PPP. And today we have an Academy of Culinary Art, 123 students, with the importance of this high quality education. We brought in a partner, an hotel management school from Switzerland, why not? And they gave us the curriculum, the quality assurance. Why? It is very important that these people, the students, the youth, get a good, high-quality education, not just something small around the corner just for you guys because they are poor. No, no, no. We give them the best. Cambodian youth have smartphone, don't have a typewriter machine. The Cambodian youth are entitled to access high-quality standard education so they can get a skill, they can market and get good jobs. The Swiss certification is a success of the brand that allows the youth to be able to cook either in Cambodia or in the Gulf or any other countries in the world, because the institution is not just from Cambodia, but is recognized by Switzerland. So it's a very important ingredient, the certification from Switzerland, that is a passport that allows them to get a secure job.
Thank you very much, Pierre. That was, I think, due to your conviction, that was probably part of the record. I think you have to turn off the microphone. Somebody's telling me that you have to do this. Yes, I think it needs people that are convinced like that to go that far. Because one of my questions would have been, how long would it have taken? You said yourself 5 years. That's a long time. You need a long breath. But public-private partnership and multi-stakeholder partnerships, I think this is when you connect networks and the different talents, what you need. And it's one of the SDGs in 17. This is what we're supposed to do, work together more with the private sector. So I think this is a very great example. But we'll stay with youth. Kulu Kule Galma, she is currently working for the World Trade Organization's accession division. And in this capacity, she's supporting the accession case of Somalia and other East African countries. Prior to joining the WTO, Kule worked in London as a finance business partner for Al Ryan Bank in Qatar as credit risk officer, and for QNB Capital as an investment banking summer analyst. I mean, I can hardly pronounce it. Merely, this sounds very, something I would not do. I'm a lawyer, I can't count. So, but you obviously can do that. And of course, here we're to hear from you. Where and what type of support do young people need to find jobs and have a better future? What is your experience? And maybe you have good ideas how we can do things better. Kuli.
Yeah, so I'd like to begin by thanking the EIF for having me here today. I'm really pleased to be here amongst all of you to share my experiences. And I've learned so much from all the panelists so far, so I hope that everyone can learn something from me today as well. So I'd like to begin by just saying that Africa has the youngest population in the world, and this is set to grow in the coming years. Somalia, for example, 70% of the population is under the age of 35. And I think overall in the continent, there's so much scope for demographic dividends, but I believe that the continent is quite ill-prepared to tap into this very youthful resource. I think I mentioned Somalia's young population, and I think if opportunities are not made available to youth, then they really risk the chance of being co-opted into militant groups like Al-Shabaab, or even migrating the country either abroad or into neighboring countries like Kenya. And it's really, really important that we keep our young, fresh, and bright minds in the country. So noting this, what can be done? I think first and foremost, I'm going to call on African diaspora youth. I myself am one that was raised abroad, and I think we have to band together to not forget those of us who were left back at home and maybe didn't have certain privileges. I think that you're never too young to make a change if you really believe in the causes that you're working for. And I've tried to embody this philosophy. I work with another young Somali youth, Miss Marian Hassan, and we're working together to launch Somalia's first legal training center that'll be housed in Somalia National University. And here we're trying to build a state-of-the-art institution to train postgraduate students and then kind of also offer them phenomenal access to great professors from all across the world. And I think it'll be a great way to kind of connect them and kind of plunge them back into the international community. And I think it's really important for them to have the same access that I was lucky enough to have on my master's program at the LSE. In addition to this, I think there needs to be development of youth capacity in regards to entrepreneurship. My parents always taught me, if you can't find any opportunities for yourself, be fearless and create them. So I really believe that, African minds are just so enterprising, and I think initiatives like the iRise Hub that was launched in Somalia last year is a really great example of this. It's an innovation and tech hub, and it's basically a space where young people can come together and network and innovate, and it offers an opportunity for them to have meeting rooms and a postal address and a safe, secure internet connection. And I know that's taken for granted here, but back at home, that's very important. And on top of that, it offers them access to investors. So any ideas that were born in that innovation center can be funded by investors abroad. I think following on from that, in order to be great entrepreneurs, I think you need to have the right skill set. And I think along with that, access to good education. I think by and large, the continent is quite behind when we talk about its education system, and I think African youth deserve an opportunity to be educated for the 21st century. When we're entering an age of digitization, where a lot of jobs are going to be replaced by tech automation and things like artificial intelligence, the youth need to be rightly equipped to compete in such an environment. And in addition to this, I think alongside formal education systems, there also needs to be kind of access to good vocational training. I mean, formal education isn't for everyone. And on top of that, not everyone can necessarily afford that kind of education. So, and then kind of following on from that, I think it's really important for this education to be distilled in a lot of creative ways so that it can be accessed by many people across the continent in a cheap and affordable way. I'm currently, when I'm not working for the WTO by day, by night, I work for FinEasy, which is a FinEd tech startup company based in London. It was an idea that I was just so drawn to when I asked to be on board to work in the capacity of business development and customer acquisition. So it's basically a company that is launching a SMS text-based messaging game targeted towards African youth and to improve financial literacy rates. So it's launching in Ghana first, and I came on board and have developed a customer acquisition strategy for Kenya, for Nigeria, and now I'm working on one for South Africa. So I think just having innovations like this to get education kind of dispersed among the youth is really important. So I think overall, there's a lot of scope for work to be done, and I think even having someone like me joining and being part of the conversation is a good first step. So yeah, I'd really love to see kind of more initiatives for youth going forwards. And thank you so much for having me. Oh, yes, sorry.
No, fantastic you're here. It shows me I belong to old age party. Already the rate that you speak and the fantastic ideas you have that shows us it's the youth that Africa has to put their bets on. Now we have about 25 minutes and I would just like to see if there are questions at this point to the panelists. Otherwise we would do another round because I think they were very interesting questions that have turned out. Diaspora I thought was very interesting, networks working with diaspora, which has not been mentioned yet. But please, I would like to give you the possibility to ask questions. Otherwise, we will then go into a second round of questions. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I think as we move on to the second round, I would request panelists to really give us the way forward on skilling for the youth. I know we talk about carpentry, we are talking about, but surely, what are these skills that we should have, which are marketable even within and outside the country? Because yes, if you do carpentry or tailoring, is it for the consumption of the country alone, or within the country, or even outside? Because we can still have skills, remain back home in Africa, and the jobs like ICT, people can still do actually, can do their work even from Africa when they're actually doing this for companies outside. So I would like to see how the panelists can actually give us the way forward on the kind of skilling for the youth especially. Thank you.
Please. I will collect some questions and then we'll do a round of answers because those are very important issues that need to be, I think, tried to be answered by all panelists. Yes, please.
Thank you. I think there's no need to mention my name anymore. Mohammed Yassin, University of Udine in Italy. My question goes to the importance of the engagement of youth and women. I'm proud that there's the three ladies here are playing this job, this role in very efficient way. There are some people who are excluded, and especially here I'm representing non-state actors, civil society organizations, or liberation movement in Africa. In the policy of the World Trade Organization, normally they deal with states, but states and where we are operating, I'm referring to situation in Sudan and South Sudan, where the presence of the state is very, very fragile. How can we make benefit from your operation in order to reach the people who are living in the refugees camps and internally displaced people in conflict areas, especially in reference of the solar energy, because without energy, development or trade could be very weak. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for this question. And living in a digitalized world, I want to also invite the online audience, either by Twitter, hashtag EIF Global Forum 2018, to also use the possibility of asking questions to this panel group of great opportunity to speak to ministers and princesses. You never get that chance again, I bet. Any other questions? Yes, in the back.
Bonjour, j'espère qu'on m'écoute bien. Je suis Josiane Diofac et je travaille pour le cadre intégré renforcé. Ma question s'adressera à Madame Leila. Et j'aimerais savoir, vu que les Comores, c'est un pays moins avancé, et on se dirait que c'est un pays dans lequel l'environnement de travail est compliqué. J'aimerais savoir comment est-ce que vous faites pour gérer le risque de non-remboursement lié aux personnes qui ont des revenus très instables et des revenus qui ne sont pas peut-être réguliers sur une longue période. Comment est-ce que vous faites pour gérer ce risque de non-remboursement? Merci.
Okay, so we have 3 different types of questions, and I would ask each of you, out of your experience, and also what can governments do to tackle these issues? One, how do you skill youth, especially looking at the markets and vocational training, and not just skilling them for the heck of it, but sort of matching them with the real productive lines that the companies have. Then there was the very valid question of how do you engage women and youth in a surrounding where we have fragile institutions and states do not have the capacity to address these issues that are needed at the end. And to Laila, managing risk, especially with youth, I think that's also a very important question. We'll start with you, Honourable Minister, please.
Thank you very much, Moderator. Let me thank the Honourable Minister of Trade from Uganda, who raised the question on types of skills that we are inculcating in our youth. For Malawi, it's a deliberate policy that has targeted specific skills that are marketable. These are the skills I talked about earlier on. Malawi is a developing state. We need a lot of infrastructure development. Currently, we are almost importing everything, be it from China, India. I'm talking about school desks, chairs, furniture, and so on and so forth. Now, this paradigm shift has come about because for a long time, in fact, since our independence, we have been having graduates every year in white-collar jobs, lawyers, teachers, name it. Very few went into skills or engineering and so forth. Therefore, these youth or these skills we are teaching are marketable for our domestic purposes, but also now that Malawi has signed the African Free Trade, the African Continental Free Trade Area, we are confident that with the free movement of persons, these skills shall definitely bring in a lot of forex as and when our young boys and girls go and work in these member states. Therefore, we feel confident that as a country or as a government, we're doing the right thing. And just to conclude on this one, we have also got another program, government program, where we're building affordable houses for the underprivileged throughout the country. And some of the skilled labor are being drawn from these technical colleges, from the respective communities to build up these houses through this affordable housing program. Should I go ahead, the second item?
Yes,
yeah, the engagement of youth and women. For Malawi, again, we have a strategy we are calling Buy Malawi strategy. Having been skilled through our procurement processes, we are prioritizing Malawi locally produced products to participate in that tendering process. Actually, we have a deliberate policy where every Friday you go into each of our restaurants, you enjoy nothing but Malawian cuisines. These are local foods prepared by our women and youth working in these restaurants. Fabrics that you find us wearing, actually from the top, the head of state himself down to everybody, is a local fabric, tailored by these youth trained from our technical colleges. So we are engaging our youth, we're creating employment to make sure that each one of our youth and women have some disposable incomes through these deliberate policies. The last item, relevant skills. Was this mine or?
Well, it was addressed to Laila, but if you want to say something, it's no problem.
Yeah, the relevant skills are always there. You cannot start teaching a skill without research to find its relevance to your people. Thank you.
Okay, Laila, you want to take the risk management one?
Okay. Donc, avant de répondre spécifiquement à la question qui m'était posée, j'aimerais revenir sur la question de l'accélération de l'acquisition de compétences, en complément de ce qui a été dit par son Excellence. Moi, je crois beaucoup au transfert de technologie. Je crois beaucoup au modèle coréen, à ces Coréens qui ont assemblé pendant des années les téléphones pour Ericsson et pour BlackBerry pendant des années et qui aujourd'hui ont produit le Samsung Galaxy, donc qui est le premier téléphone mobile au monde. Donc je crois beaucoup, je rêve du jour où nous les Africains, nous les Comoriens, nous pourrons mettre en œuvre ce modèle pour les téléphones, mais aussi pour les yaourts, pour les jus de fruits, pour tout un tas de produits que nous achetons aujourd'hui à l'étranger. Donc je pense que pour accélérer l'acquisition de ces connaissances, nous devons les acheter, ces compétences, de la même façon que nous achetons des meubles, des ordinateurs à l'étranger. Nous devons aller acheter ces compétences technologiques, ces techniques de l'agro-industrie en Afrique pour qu'elles puissent essaimer, pour qu'elles puissent se développer, parce que la politique qui vient d'être présentée par son Excellence, c'est-à-dire pousser les gens à acheter du local, c'est bien. Je pense que surtout les gouvernants, surtout les dirigeants, nous avons un devoir d'exemplarité pour encourager, mais ça c'est limite. Le marché, comme je le disais, est mondial. On ne va pas acheter un produit, on ne va pas acheter un yaourt parce qu'il est comorien. S'il est mauvais ou s'il est cher, il ne sera pas acheté. Et on pourra le subventionner un temps, mais il faudra qu'il ait la bonne qualité, comme des yaourts français, sud-africains, et au même prix. Et pour que nous soyons en mesure de produire ces produits, nous devons avoir l'audace d'aller acheter ces compétences, d'aller demander à ceux qui savent faire de venir le faire chez nous, de faire les yeux doux, d'accepter quelques concessions politiques, de donner quelques avantages à ces grands groupes qui ont cette technologie pour pouvoir la transférer chez nous. Je crois beaucoup en cette... voilà. Et produire pour le marché local ou pour le marché international, je pense déjà que le marché africain, c'est un marché. C'est un marché qui est déjà très recherché par toutes les entreprises internationales. Donc déjà, si nos entreprises pouvaient avoir accès à ce marché local, ça serait déjà une grande source de profit pour elles. Et puis, nécessairement, lorsqu'elles auront les capacités de fournir le marché local, naturellement, elles auront accès au marché international. Donc ça, c'était sur ce point-là. Sur la gestion du risque, effectivement, c'est tout le problème de la finance et de la microfinance en Afrique, c'est la gestion du risque dans un environnement où les revenus sont peu connus, sont pas formels, les gens peuvent disparaître du jour au lendemain, partir en Europe, ou bien... voilà, donc effectivement, donc nous, la façon dont on le gère, c'est d'abord un suivi très, très rapproché de nos clients sur le terrain. Nous avons un contact physique avec les gens, nous leur rendons visite, parfois nous allons collecter l'argent sur le terrain lorsque les gens n'ont pas le temps de venir à la mutuelle pour régler leur crédit. Nous allons régulièrement sur leur terrain nous savons que c'est une période de forte vente. Par exemple, cette semaine, la semaine avant l'Aïd, on sait que c'est une semaine où les commerçants vont beaucoup vendre. Donc, eh bien, nos petits agents de crédit se baladent dans les marchés et récoltent leur argent pour éviter que ce soit dépensé par ailleurs. Et puis, à cela, à cette politique de proximité, s'ajoutent les garanties. On a des garanties, comme je le disais, patrimoniales et notamment des garanties or. Donc, les gens déposent leur or en contrepartie des prêts. Et comme les personnes sont attachées à leur patrimoine, en général, elles font vraiment tout ce qu'elles peuvent pour rembourser. Et si, in fine, ce qui arrive, elles n'arrivent pas à rembourser, eh bien, nous vendons les gages. Et comme il y a un marché de l'or qui est très développé aux Comores, c'est des garanties qui sont aisément exécutables et elles nous permettent de limiter nos risques de cette façon-là.
Thank you. Digital technologies was one of the main issues that was brought up by the G77 in the Addis process and in the SDG process. But I guess it's more difficult than just pressing a button and having technology flow from one place to the other. And it has to go together with skills. I think this is the thing. We have to enable the youth to use these technologies. And honestly, I've seen a 3D printing in Kenya. Fantastic. I mean, it looks like a deranged radio, but it works. So staying on the ground and yes, enabling young, I think is something that is very important. And technology, yes, was mentioned many times, needs to be tapped on. Pierre, accelerating skills. Do you have an idea how we can speed that up?
Yes, I think it's important to recognize that vocational training programs do not sit alone in a silo. And that's usually the danger and what we have seen in practice in many countries, that operators come to town and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you will come and be trained here. And then they come out, they don't have the quality of the skill. Private sector not interested, or the private sector complains that you have not trained at the level that the private sector needs. It's very important, first of all, that this to ascertain that whatever vocational training is set up goes with the country's economy. What is the economy of their country? What is being produced? What is being done? What are the services? And that is very important. As your indicator, you start from the market. You don't start from the person that just happens to be a youth or a woman or a marginalized. You start with the private sector. Private sector does not hire youth. Private sector does not hire poor women. Private sector does not hire out of CSR. Private sector hire competent and skilled people. That's the engine of the economic growth is the private sector that is able to stay alive and producing and doing well. For them, it's important that we bring to them qualified, competent, skilled youth, qualified, competent, skilled women. So that is very important to be able to find that. The amazing thing, for instance, in our situation, 6 million tourists in Cambodia come every year, moving up to 7 million in 2020, and that's where we saw there are no schools, so there is no training. Number two, if you look at the the World Travel and Tourism Council, the industry of travel and tourism and aviation is the biggest employer of women and youth. And they have a tremendous growth from the Middle East all the way to the Far East. They have a 28% growth right now. So that's where we need to bring the people. However, there is one challenge where we face everywhere, is the issue between job seeker and market offer. Youth get out of bed and say, I want to be a banker. I want to be an accountant. I want to work in a nice aircon office when I have an iPad, an iPod, and a smartphone. Well, there are so many places in the accounting offices, and it's not enough for everybody. So we need to educate the youth and direct them to where the economic growth is, and even the future jobs in technology, which don't exist today, they may exist tomorrow. So it's very important to bring this to. I just come right now, 4 days in Dubai. 4 days in Dubai, I was seeing 8 hotels. One hotel tell me, Pierre, how many thousands of people you can send over here? We'll take them. again, the Swiss certification is the key factor. Not so much that they feel sorry for Cambodia, but they have skilled that they can improve, and also the fact that they can go back and continue on their education with us. And I say, well, maximum capacity 200. The guys look at me and said, it's a joke. Our hotel alone needs 5,000 people in the kitchen every year. So, you see, and we are only doing 200. Well, we only do it 200 because we can convince so many donors to give us money for that. But of course, there are more than 200 youth in Cambodia. But just to tell you how the private sector from Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Singapore, Hong Kong, Bangkok, and Melbourne have offered us jobs. We say we take them as students in internship, and we take them as graduate. But please send them by the thousands, not by 5 or 10. So you see, we need to really see what in each country now. I only know my area, I do not know your area, sir, but to really look at what is vibrant, what is growing, and then bring the vocational training there with high quality, and then convince and educate the young people that that is where your future is. If you want to be an astronaut, of course, let them do it. If you want to be a banker, let them do it. That's not an issue, but we need to educate the youth, and otherwise they feel misled.
Thank you, Pierre. And there's so many beautiful places in Africa where you want to come as a tourist. So I think this would be a great new venture for you to go from Cambodia and visit Malawi or the Comoros. I can come up with a whole latitude of places we would love to come. And but thanks for that input. Kule, what's the recipe we've not heard? We've heard about skills, bringing them to the market. You've talked about diasporas, networks. What's your recipe?
Well, I believe that there needs to be a rewiring of kind of the criteria that's put forward for hiring youth in the first place. I think a lot of times, I know when I was searching for my first job, a lot of them required like work experience, but it's my first job, like where would I get work experience from? So I think it's important to just cut the youth some slack and recognize that we need that first step, and I think it's important for institutions to recognize that. And I think additionally, I think governments also need to appreciate that it's not really like a one-size-fits-all solution. So when you're kind of creating opportunities for youth, I think you need to just really focus on what your country needs and kind of developing opportunities for them. And I think also bringing youth to the table when you're talking about how to develop opportunities for youth need to be involved in those discussions, because ultimately they're the ones that know what opportunities they need.
Thanks. Princess Dima, you have the famous last words. Now, we talked a lot about youth now and skills, but I think if you have a mother that's already working, that sometimes helps if you have this type of role model. What can we do to empower women, and what can the government do to make sure that the power that lies within women and their potential comes to market, that they're empowered to trade, maybe to go and take their wonderful fabrics and the things that they're doing and go online, do e-commerce, be connected with the world. What can governments and what can you also do with the work you've been doing to empower women?
Thank you, the moderator. Before answering to your question, I'm sorry. My brother from Somalia has raised the issue of refugees. So I have been working on it with UNHCR. And of course, I can be one day at their place. So in Burkina Faso, for instance, my organization, my foundation, we have in the north and the Sahel offered 15,000 solar lanterns, Marmalade solar lanterns, with a value of more than 270 million francs CFA. And also they have skills that we can use for our own economy and then bring them into the communities. This is also examples that can be shared within those kind of arena. Coming back to your question, I think that is the fast way to accelerate women empowerment and youth in general, all of us, is to go with the best weapon for me, which is trade. Access to the international call proposals. Make sure that we are part of the global market value chain and call proposal. Because if we train our youth, it's the opportunity when you have call proposal regarding infrastructures, and you train them to build roads, to build bridges, and to manufacture or agribusiness. That's where I see where we can tap in with the matching the trainings and what the market needs. And also to increase revenues. How do we make sure that our youth and our women, they have their share, if they work, that they really have the real payroll? That the big corporates, at the end of the day, they're working with the informal sector. Although people sometimes they're informal by default, they even don't know, except when it's the voting time that they see the MPs or whatever coming to beg for their votes. They don't see them. So I think that's where that digitalization and making sure that our youth and women can use this, take advantage on the mobile phones to get access to the real pricing of the goods, to take advantage on that one. And as you know, my sister moderator, during the Finance for Development, we talk about the technology banks that will be held in Istanbul. So I think that also we can tap on this one. And I would like also to bring that awareness regarding IPR, because Africans, we do produce knowledge rather as an industry or literature, but how do we protect our IPR? And I think that even if we got access to finance, we need to make sure that part of that money also can be allocated for protection of our IPR. This is very important. And also, how do we make sure that EIF helping more regarding making our products more sexy and make agriculture more sexy for our youth, and to make sure that we can fix them in our regions. Those are the concrete example that we are doing in Burkina Faso. And my president just assigned me as the special envoy on SDGs and climate change, because I have been working and bringing that awareness for our people. This is extremely key. So to my sister from Comores, the women are AAA. You just said that they are paying back their loans. For me, they are AAA. We are AAA. But how the hell that we don't benefit on the rate of AAA? That's something missing here. And I think that is at the political level, that's in the discussion with the UN, with that high-level panel on the informal sector that I would like Germany also to, with the Marshall Plan with Africa, because Germans say that with the with, and that's what I like more, that for, but with. That would be important to bring that awareness and make sure that we got all the components and that the women will benefit on their behavior. Because until now, we don't benefit. And also, if I need 50 euro or dollar, I can get it easily. But myself, for instance, to develop or to grow my business, I need 30 million euro. But suddenly I become a man, I'm not a woman anymore. Why that? So we need to walk the talk. So I will stop there, and I look forward to continue the discussion. Thanks so much.
Yes. See, she's standing there already, looking over my shoulder. I'm not even going to attempt to summarize, because I think everything that's been said stands for itself. And especially, I just have 2-3 more words, yeah, on what you said, Princess Digma. I agree. The tech bank is an issue. It's not a bank. So how are we going to get the capital? And in Turkey, it's just not going fast enough. And in a digitized world, the one thing you don't have is time. So I agree completely. And I just want to mention one: leapfrogging. We have to look at technical solutions, tailor-made, that can help jump over long-running industrial processes that are tailor-made for Africa. And there's so many solutions, and work there on the ground with the people, with the possibilities you have there. And this is what Germany is also doing. And yes, we have the Marshall Plan with Africa, and we take it very serious. And one of the main pillars is working together with private sector, but also trade facilitation and trying to enhance business on the ground. Yes, many great ideas. I hope you found it as inspiring as I did. It was a fantastic round. And please give a large hand of applause to this distinguished panel. And now you see my time is up. But thank you for listening, and have a great afternoon. And I'm sure that the panelists will be here for further questions. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, and thank you again to the panel. It was every bit as exciting as I knew it would be. You know, the women's movement for equality has been going for a few hundred years, and we're not there yet. But the youth movement's only just starting. And, you know, when we hear young voices at the stage, and when we go to Africa and Asia, I don't see lazy people, I see busy people, I see innovative people, I see people looking for opportunity. You know, by 2030, there's going to be another 1 billion people on the planet. By definition, they're under the age of 12, they're not born yet. How many there'll be under the age of 35, Google wouldn't tell me quickly, so I'm not sure, but there's a lot. And half of those extra population are going to be living in Africa, and half will be in Asia, and that is an opportunity, and it has to be seen as an opportunity. And they need the resources, they need the access to education, but they need the support of us kind of old folk. If we don't open the door for them, put the ladder down and give them a hand up, then we know what they'll do. And that's such a missed opportunity. We can't allow that to happen. I've really enjoyed today. It's been everything I'd hoped it would be. And today, this session has just kind of been the icing on the cake for me. But I'd now like to welcome you all to a reception, which is at the gallery above the restaurant. I believe most of you know where that is. And if you don't, I don't. Someone will show us. And it'll be an opportunity for us to hear about the call to action. Daniela, you're going to speak a few words about that shortly, which we'll be delighted to hear. And EIF Secretariat, Executive Director Rana Kaur will also speak to us. I look forward to welcoming you all over there. And if I don't speak to you there, then hopefully tomorrow as well. And thank you all very much for your attention today. Thank you.